I'm going to be your moderator for this evening, and it is my pleasure to introduce a few of my team members who are here. Our very own boss man is around. Say hello to us, sir.
Hello, everyone. Trust we are doing great. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you always. And another team member in the house is Ritiolu Alawal.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Eunice.
You're welcome. All right. So today we are gathered to speak about something very important and dear to my heart as an educator. We are talking assessments. Yeah, this is something that has been widely misconstrued, and we are having this conversation to see how we can right the wrongs around this very important concept in the educational sector. And we have panelists, very seasoned panelists in the house today joining us so that we can unpack this topic. And it is my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Daisy Amadi and Tope Adenuga. So without wasting time, we'll head right into the panel discussion. We're just here to unpack and, deal with all the misconceptions around assessment. What exactly is assessment? What is the goal of assessment? What is it supposed to achieve? What are the outcomes? And so I welcome everybody once again. Please, if you have any questions in the course of the series, please feel free to drop it in the chat box. I'm sure that our panelists will be more than happy to attend to those questions. Yeah. So we move right in, and I take the citation of our panelists, and then we move on. They say ladies first, so I'll go with the lady first. Daisy Amadi is the head of school at Startright Schools, Abuja. She has a master's degree in educational leadership and management and a mini MBA from Pace Institute. She is a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants and a certified Pearson PTE teacher. She also serves at the Abuja Schools Association of Cultural Committee chairperson and a global schools advocate. She's a seasoned trainer and facilitator, distinctions that reflect her blend of pedagogical depth and organizational insights. She has been recognized with multiple awards for excellence and leadership. Daisy brings a proven record of academic leadership, capacity building, and professional learning. She combines strategic leadership, curriculum expertise, and practical teacher development to help schools raise standards and build sustainable capacity. Prior to her current role, she spent 5 years as the head of academics, Startright Schools, leading curriculum development, assessment practice, and teacher development programs. Daisy's approach is evidence-informed and highly practical. She designs workshops and keynotes that give leaders and teachers instant usable strategies for implementing instruction, assessment, and school systems. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us welcome Mrs. Daisy Amadi. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Yeah. So very quickly, we move on to our second panelist who almost needs no introduction. Tope Adenuga is a well-known face in the educational ecosystem. He's a sought-after education expert and school leadership coach across Nigeria and Africa. A global speaker, education consultant, entrepreneur, and coach, developmental psychologist, and author, Tope Adenuga is in good demand for change in the educational space. His successful track records stem from his over a decade experience in the classroom and his leadership exposures. He has partnered and worked with several educators, school leaders, and agencies, which has caused an outpour of invitations to share his knowledge and experience on various platforms. Tope is on a journey to becoming the most sought-after education expert and school leadership coach, serving the international schools on education and various governments across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome to Thesis Education Group Tope Adenuga. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. So very quickly, we move into the panel discussion. Yeah. So, Ms. Daisy, today we are gathered to speak about assessment beyond grades, actually, beyond grades. Assessment for learning versus assessment of learning. And so I think that before we even proceed, it's important for us to define the concepts. What exactly do we mean by assessment for learning? And what exactly do we mean by assessment of learning? And why is this distinction important for schools? Why must we understand the differences? What are the expected outcomes of each, and what differentiates both of them? Ms. Daisy.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure this topic has been going on and on and on. And sometimes you think teachers understand what you're saying, but in essence, when it comes to implementation, you discover that that's maybe what you thought was happening wasn't really happening. Now, talking about assessment of learning and assessment for learning, both of them are assessments and both are equally important and both of them are needed. Now, but when we now choose one over the other, it brings the confusion. Now, assessment for learning is an ongoing assessment in the classroom. Let me put it this way. Imagine you're driving somewhere you don't know, and you have to turn on your Google map. Now, assessment learning is like a Google map that shows you where to go, drive, shows you the route you take to that journey. Now, assessment of learning is the place, the destination, the outcome, the final outcome, the final place you are going. So that's let me put a related in it. So assessment for learning is that ongoing formative assessment that GPS you use in your classroom that will guide your kids where you want them to go. And assessment of learning is the summative assessment, the final outcome, which is the destination where you want to go. Both of them are needed, but confusing them changes what we teach, how students learn, and what the school or the parents expect. Thank you.
So very much. I wouldn't know if Tope Adenuga has anything to add as regards to assessments for learning versus assessment of learning.
Yeah, I think she has done good justice. She has really done good justice to it, and yeah, and that is really a way to start. But the only thing I'm just gonna say is maybe to just put everything in a circle, right? Assessment for learning is to improve learning. Assessment of learning is to measure learning. So those two words are just the words that I'm just gonna use, and one will always drive the other. Let me just put it that way. Assessment for learning will always drive the outcome. So thank you so much, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much. That's very insightful. Both of them are very important, like our both panelists have said. Yeah, but one improves learning, whereas the other one measures learning. All right, so we move to you, Mr. Tope Adenuga. In your experience in the Nigerian landscape, how do these traditional grading systems shape students' attitude towards learning and growth?
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'm just going to share. I'm going to share a story first. I want to talk about. I was talking to a school leader in Lagos. I think sometimes last month, and she said a number of things, but I think one of the things she spoke about was the grades of our school, right? The parents have been the one running the school. Now the parents are of age. So she had to return from outside of the country, and she moved back to Nigeria, and she's now the one running the school, and she has just been complaining bitterly, right? Yeah. So, but because she mentioned grades, So I'm just going to link this to this question. Now, she said something that parents are finding it very difficult to accept that their children should repeat a class. They said their parents don't accept. And she also said they don't record 100% record in their external examinations, which is also worrisome. So she was also complaining about the teachers and all. Then I told her something and she was just looking at me. I said, if students of a school are failing exams, and if you are telling parents their children need to repeat a class, then I don't see that as a teacher problem. I see it as a school leadership problem. It's purely a school leadership problem. Now, yeah, parents definitely must be involved in the learning of their children, right? But sometimes we know that is not the case. So if I was a parent, if say I'm a parent in your school, and after the third term you're coming to me that my child should repeat a class, so that means this school doesn't have the structure for assessment for learning, because the child is going to be in that class for 3 terms. 3 terms. After first term, what was done? Because the essence of this assessment for learning is intervention, right? So after the first term, what was done? Nothing. After the second term, nothing. After the third term, nothing. So you're now coming to me that my child should repeat a class. Then it's failure in leadership. I told her that straight up. That's leadership failure. And you're preparing students for WAEC exam in your school. Say you're preparing like 80, because quite a big school. You're preparing 80, 90 students for WAEC exam in your school, and like 27 of them are failing the exam. I said, that is also not a teacher problem. That is also a school leadership problem. And Tony Bush, is like the most sought after educational leadership guy across the world. He works with the University of Nottingham. He stated it clearly. Academic outcomes is a function of school leadership. That is the way it works. Because if I have a school 2 months or a month at least to the exam, I should know the student that will pass this exam and the student that will struggle with this. I should have that data already. That is what AFL, assessment for learning, is about. If I don't have that data, then I'm praying. Yeah, we can always pray, but I'm just praying and hoping that, I hope these students can pass. So then something definitely is wrong. That means you've really not done your homework the way you're supposed to do it. You can have teachers that struggle and all, that is normal, but it is the responsibility of school leadership to find replacements, to train them and do different things. Right? So that is very, very important. And that gives us like a background for the essence of assessment for learning. So, but about the question you're now asking, grades are important. We can't shy away from that. Grades are very, very important, because if you're going to University of Oxford, if you're coming through A level, they don't take B. Some courses they don't take A, they take A star. You understand? So we can't deny that fact. Grades are important. Let's sort that. And saying grades are important also means that I used to tell people, students, the most difficult exam that I think students face, the level I think students face the most difficult exam, as far as I'm concerned, is A level, because it's always very intense and very crazy. So if a student can have A star, A star, A star in A level, that means the student has good discipline. For you to achieve that kind of result, you have good and strong discipline. For you to achieve that kind of result, that means you're diligent. You have certain values that will set you up for life to succeed. So that is one of the reasons why grades are very, very important. I put up a video some months ago. I got so many backlash where I showed the result of some schools in Nigeria, how beautiful those results are. I was getting DMs from even school owners. So I'm just always worried that, okay, we are saying these students pass this exam exceptionally well. And the question you are asking me is, they can pass the exam. Can they solve real life scenarios? Just celebrate this success first. Let's celebrate it, then we can move to different things later. If students are doing well in exam, we have to celebrate it. It's very important. However, in our part of the world, we celebrate grades a lot. It is a good thing. That is the major reason why I've laid that foundation. It is a good thing. We celebrate grades. If a child has 90%, we celebrate it. If a child has 50%, we think the child is inadequate. So that in itself is a major challenge. It is really a big challenge. And what I've seen that students now do is that they stop learning for understanding. They are learning for approval.
That's right.
They just want you to celebrate them. That is the essence of their learning now. They are not learning for, okay, I really want to know these things. Because I run mentorship programs for students, for teachers, and you see it in students that, okay, what this student is actually after is to make the mommy proud, I always tell them that is not the essence of whatever we're doing now. You can have a 3-month, 6-month mentorship with me, and at the end of the day, you will make a star, you will make A or B, and I'll be fulfilled.
Yeah.
You understand? So we are not going to play to what society wants, what someone wants. We're going to play to making you a better person, so you can have good understanding of this. So I think that is one of the things missing in our space. And because of that, students learn, they just tend to reproduce content. We have a lot of students that can reproduce content, but they lack 21st century skills. That must be said. And as far as I'm concerned, that is not a parental problem. It can be a societal it's more of a societal problem, and it's more of a school system problem. And that is what everyone has been talking about, that we have to tackle this, we have to tackle that. So one of the things I'm going to encourage parents to do, this is something that is going on, this is something that we are experiencing already. Just make sure you work closely with your school. Make sure you work closely with the school of your children and focus more on performance, focus more on growth rather than performance. Just make sure the school my children are in Lagos, they know that when I come for open day and they are showing us results, the teachers already know, and they are pointing out the average. That means your score in the first term, your score in the second term, your score there must be like a form of progress. If you're getting 89 in mathematics today, even if it is 50, I don't have a problem with it. The next one, there must be an improvement, even if it is 52, 55, let it be that progress. So that is one thing parents have to pay attention to. And that is why the concept of assessment for learning and of learning are very great concepts. So parents have to focus more on growth than performance. But we know that in our society, it is a difficult thing to do. Sometimes when my daughter's teacher calls me and is like, oh, Dabira did this, I told Dabira to do that, she's not doing it, I get worried. Do you understand? I get worried. But sometimes I just put myself in control that, okay, I'll talk to her. This is the target I'm putting. This is what you have to do. I'm just focusing on the growth. I don't want you to be the best student in the class. It's none of my business. I don't want it. If you achieve it, that's fine, but it's not my target. It's not my dream. If it is your dream as a child, yeah, I'm happy for you. But I'm not selling you that dream. You understand? Yeah, so, but the bulk of the work is with our society and our schools. Not even teachers, because as I always say, and as I always train on, I'm a strong believer of systems. Systems will always drive outcomes. I can predict the outcome of the school with the systems they have in place. You will know the student, the school that will do well with everything. So the bone of contention now should just be to the schools. We now have to focus on different things. We have to focus more on growth instead of focusing on a lot of time on grades. Focusing on grades is good, but we also have to focus on growth. And that is what assessment for learning is about. But for parents should also pay attention to the grades of their children in terms of moving from one level to the other. 50, 55, 60, just pay attention to that. Leave best students. Leave the overall, just leave that. but just focus on the growth. Focus on the growth. And that is one thing I think parents can focus on to really defeat this, to really defeat what we currently have in our society that is not going away anytime soon.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much. That was very expository. Yeah. I think I should just quickly follow up with this question, Mr. Tope. You have said it or almost made mention of it, but like I said, parents and society, majority of the people only see grades as a proof of intelligence or success. Like you mentioned, if somebody has a 50%, which is a credit, it looks like, oh, this person is struggling and all of that. How do we disabuse this line of thoughts? How do we encourage parents to, appreciate alternative measures of accessing learning?
Yeah, if it's just as I said, if we ask any of us, say we're parents, and you ask any of us about if our kids underperform, how we feel, we all feel bad. That is where we are. We all don't feel good about it. That is the truth, right? So, and it is just because the society has made it so. It is a societal thing. It's cultural. Grades equal intelligence as far as the society is concerned. If you are an A-star student, we just assume you are a very intelligent student. Yeah, you have your own intelligence, but someone who is a C student, we cannot believe this person is not intelligent enough, right? So, and we see that even in organizations, they only want first-class students. They only want 2-1 students. For you to get some kind of scholarship abroad, you must either be a first-class student or a 2-1 student. So it's societal. It is the way so there is just a little parents can do about it. So what I'm going to say, that thing, to change that line of thought, it must start from the society. Then it moves to the school before it gets to parents. If I want my child to say go to maybe Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, grade is important, like very, very important. There are no two ways around it, and there's nothing we can do about it, right? But one of the things we just have to do when it comes to that area for parents is just to encourage them to understand the unique abilities of their children and play to it. That is then very, very important. Just understand the unique ability. My first daughter, every Saturday, she goes for gymnastics. She's very flexible. She can somersault on the pole, all those things they do. She can do it well. So we registered her in the gymnastic class because you're very flexible. She likes to swim. She wants to compete at the highest level when it comes to swimming. And now she's at the intermediate level at Ikeja. There's a country club around Ikeja, and she's at the intermediate level even at age 8. You understand? So one of the things parents then need to do is just to make sure we play to the abilities of our children. Because no matter how we want to look at it, grades are important. In Femi Otelola's book, where he spoke about he doesn't want to go to school, his dad didn't push too much and all, we have to understand that some people have certain leverages that others do not have. The best thing that can happen to some children that will make them go far in life is to have good grades. Especially when you are in certain part of Nigeria. Just make sure, I've seen children from the most remote part of Nigeria, and they're studying in England or United States as a function of their grades. So that is one of the reasons why I always say grades are important. At the same time, there's little parents can do when it comes to changing the line of thought. But there's a lot of stuff the society can do. There's a lot of stuff the school system can do. Me at high school, when I was at high school, GSS2, I started selling stuff in front of the house. I already had that entrepreneurial skill. It's obvious that this thing is there. After SS2, I told my parents that I wanted to become a teacher. They didn't want it, right? So, but those signs will be there for parents to see, but they will struggle with it, especially a parent that is struggling to even pay school fees that is very small. So they can't fathom it. So to the parents, I don't think they really have a lot of stuff to do. But the society, our culture, our school system, we have to focus more on it. Let us start focusing more on skills. Let us start focusing more on emotional intelligence. Let us start focusing more on creativity. You understand? Instead of focusing majorly on grades. But at the same time, grades are important. There's little parents can do because everyone is driven by the society or by the culture. But if there's a level of leverage, then the parents should just make sure they play according to the strengths of their children.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. That was very expository once again. Grades are very important. However, there is that caveat, excuse me. However, it is important to build on the strengths and the intelligences of your particular child so that they can thrive in their areas of expertise. Thank you very, very much. I'll come over to you now, Ms. Daisy. Let's talk about feedback in assessment. Okay, so from your experience, what do you think makes feedback and assessment truly transformative for learners? How can teachers and educators deliver feedback in a way that motivates action rather than evoking judgment?
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you to Tope. Now, just permit me, before I answer my own question, I want to add just a voice to what he said earlier. Now, yeah, there is something I think the schools might do that should be able to help parents at least come to terms with some of the grades they see. Now, what we try to do here is before any child joins the school, we have a diagnostic test. Bring the parents in and we discuss it so everyone is on the same page at how the child came in. So the child came in maybe at E or D. You don't expect the child just tomorrow to be at A star. So from there, the teachers start working with the child using the AFL, communicating the progress. So you see the parents, they'll even be very happy when the child gets a C. They celebrate it because they know where the child started from. So it's one thing schools can do to help parents come to terms with the grades. Now, we tell kids not to succumb to peer pressure. Parents should also try not to succumb to societal pressure. If you expect the kids not to succumb to peer pressure, parents should also try not to succumb to societal pressure. You know your child, work with your child, but it's still the same pressure everywhere. All right, so to my own question now, feedback, becomes transformational when it is not just about the grades a child gets. In fact, it is even very possible for teachers to communicate this to the kids so they understand what it is. Now, in fact, maybe there is a way, maybe a name for this. We call it feed forward. Because when you say feedback, they tell the child, okay, this is what you did, you didn't do it well. And they move on to the next thing. Now, but when you feed the child forward, the child knows that, okay, this is where I am now, but this is the next step, the next thing I should do. It's like telling a child, this is where you are, but you can get better. Here is how to get better, and I will help you get better. So when teachers give feedback this way, it removes the anxiety, it removes the burden it places on the children in the classrooms. Now, over the years, I've seen that feedback only changes when it does three things. It clarifies, this is where we are, and it directs, this is what you should do, and it empowers the child. Here is how to do it. So when you give a child feedback this way, it's not vague, it's not all over the place. The child knows specifically what to do. And trust me, there's something else that works. Do not, how will I put it? Don't overgive feedback. Don't point out too many errors because it makes someone just give up on it. Even us and maybe as adults, when someone keeps pointing out everything you've done wrong, you find a way to just say, okay, I can't even do it at all. But if you can find one thing the child had done right, one thing, it doesn't matter how big or how small the child is, everyone thrives on praise and motivation. Find one thing they've done properly. Now, Tell them what they need to do next and how they should do it. Not just you need to add more details to this writing. That's not enough. How should they add it? Where should they add it? Now, what teachers should do to feed forward, and that is what AFL does. It gives you feedback when the learning is still alive. Some teachers teach, just give work, then pack all the books, keep under their tables for a week. Then you come back after 1 week to tell the kid, that thing you did that time, they've lost interest. But some of them have forgotten. So you give them feedback when they still care about the task. If not, as we say in Nigeria, you're on your own. Now let the feedback also focus on the task and the next step. Don't judge the child's ability. Don't tell the child that you're careless, you don't listen. No, remove the focus from the child's ability to the task and the next step. That's one thing teachers must do. All those things we say, you don't listen, but the child listened. And this was what the child could produce at that point. So let the child know, I see you, I see where you are. It's not a matter of trying to sugarcoat whatever. No, I see you exactly where you are, but you can get better. And this is what you can do. This is how to do it. So teachers, keep it specific, keep it short, keep it simple, and prioritize the improvement goals. Don't start with too many things. Let them fix this one first, then you go to the next. So that's one thing teachers can do to make sure that feedback is actually transformative and doesn't put undue pressure, on the kids. So when the child hears you can do better, this is how to do it, I am here to support you, then the kids work very well with feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Miss Daisy. That is very, very important for teachers listening on this call. Yeah, feedback must be prompt. That's something I notice teachers don't pay attention to, right? You give assignments and then they return the assignments and you talk it away, hoping that at your own convenient time, you'll access it and then give them feedback and the students have moved on. Yeah, so it should be prompt. Yeah, thank you so very much. I do have a question from somebody, and I think I'd like to jump it on you before we move to Tope Adenuga. The person says, aside societal position for grades and value of certificate over skills, schools are also out for competitions. Okay. So, okay, this is a feedback here. So if you fail to meet up, your school will become empty and you start struggling. Well, what do you have to say to this person? The person says, aside from societal position for grades, according to what Mr. Tope said earlier, schools are competing against each other for the few students that they have. And so if you fail to meet up on your grades and all of that, your schools may be empty and feedback, Mr. Tope, please.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's even one of the conversations I had with a school leader when I dropped the content that I did on school systems. Right. I wanted to do a dissertation here in England, and I was trying to talk to my supervisor that one of the things I want to measure, or one of the things I want to check is how to increase school enrollment. And he was like, increase school enrollment? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to increase the population of your school? They don't understand it. They don't understand. So I went further to explain to him that because here they are looking for ways to cut it down. So I went further to explain to him that in Nigeria, we have more private schools than public schools at certain levels. So there is that fight for number. And that is also the reason why you see schools, when they're advertising, they put up the grades of their students. That is driven by the demands of parents. It is driven by the demands of parents. And if you say you are running holistic school and your students are falling short in exam, your school fail.
Yeah.
Grades. Yeah. So that is what the person is trying to talk about. You must, as much as you're doing everything holistic, You must produce results. Your students must pass exam. That is the number one thing for you. The rugby school that just opened, their mission, I really can't remember now word for word, but it stated clearly that something around academic excellence alongside or with. So it is always academic excellence first, then the moral, everything would then follow. So what the person said is spot on. If your student don't produce results, your school can fail and your school can fall.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. So yes, that is noted. However, we must learn how to balance these things. Yeah, that's very important. Thank you very much. Someone else is contributing, saying immediate feedback is very paramount and one has to be strategic about it. It is good we avoid negative feedbacks. Yes, thank you so very much. All right, so I'll move to you again, Mr. Tope. So let's talk about fairness in assessment. Yeah, we have everything about inclusive learning and all of that. So, and I know that many teachers struggle with fairness in assessing students with diverse learning skills. Yeah. So what inclusive assessment strategies can we adopt to ensure that every learner's progress is accurately represented?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. I will say again, this is not teacher-based. It is what
Okay.
is the policy of the school around it? What is the system? What is the structure of the school around it? It is not teacher-based at all. And according to what we have, yeah, everybody is saying we have to change a school system and all. I agree because according to what we have, especially in our society, assessment is a one-way thing. It's a one-way approach. One exam,
Yeah.
one format, one mark. Simple. So in that instance, I've taught in a school where if you don't produce 100% record, the school is a big school. They have a lot of students in Ikeja. They have more than 1,000 students. And for WAEC, you're preparing over 100 students for exam. Among the 100 students, like 30 of them will be writing IGCSE. And if you're a teacher in that school and you don't produce 100% record, you can be sacked. So is it now then that I'll be saying, so my focus is going to be, you must pass. The strategy I was using then was, I know the student that, let me focus on them understanding so they can pass. There are students that I was like, let me just make sure they pass. I will just make sure these students pass. My students will not fail. So in our society, assessment is a one-way thing. It is one way. And I should also, so it is more of a school system thing than a teacher thing. What does the school policy, what does it say when it comes to assessment of learners with diverse abilities? Because if I'm the biology teacher, I can't just say my students have diverse ability, then I fed them fairly based on what I think is right. And the economics teacher is not doing it. There's no consistency in the school. So for us to create that consistency in a school system, it must be a policy. There must be a grading system according to the abilities of the children. So a teacher cannot decide to do that. Also, if anything is going to change, it must also be holistic. It must happen everywhere. Exam bodies, every student is assessed the same way. There's
Yeah.
no special form of assessment. Every student, even if you have, even if you have learning disorder, learning disability, you're going to be assessed the same way. So if that is what is there, that is what we have, schools will definitely struggle with it because there's a height they must hit, there's a height they must reach. But schools can also still create that policy, that system of assessing diverse learners, and that is where the AFL, assessment for learning, comes in. But as far as that is concerned, there is nothing teachers can do about it. I just don't play to it. Let the school have a structure. So what I'm going to explain, what I'm going to say to schools is just embrace assessment for learning. Students that will fail, you should have an idea in the first term. If your AFL is strong, if you use it, you must have an idea because you are assessing them as you go. Students that will not do well in IGCSE, you have an idea. So all you have to then do for them is to embrace intervention. is just to embrace intervention, IEP. There are so many schools that do that in Lagos. So that is what you have to do. But if you are a teacher on this call and you just want to be fair when it comes to your assessment, some of the things I'm going to encourage you to do is, number one, give continuous feedback. Feedback is very, very important. Just give continuous feedback. Make sure as the student is progressing, you're telling the student what to do. As the second panelist said, it must be clear enough. There must be clarity in your conversation when you're giving feedback. Not improve. No, what are you improving on? What should you do to improve? It must be clear. Clarity is very, very important. So for it, another thing I'm going to encourage that teacher to do is to also encourage peer assessment. Peer assessment. Children, it's data proven, it's research proven. Children learn, especially those that struggle, they learn better from their peers. Especially those that struggle, they learn better from their peers. So just embrace that also in your class. That is also one of the things I'm going to say. Then the third thing, reflective learning. I think we don't embrace reflective learning a lot in that part of the world. So teachers have to understand what reflective learning is and embrace it. We know every teacher knows the ability. Every serious teacher will know the ability of their children. You know the ones that can hit a star. You know the ones that will pass with maybe just a C. So to round everything up, it's more about the school system than the teacher. But if the teacher has to do anything about it, then continuous feedback should work well. Peer assessment should work well. Reflective learning should also work well. And for the schools, they should have a grading system that encourages or that factors in different abilities of learners. And teachers are just to follow that and work with what the school has in place.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much. That is an action item for school leaders. Thank you so very much. You have shifted our focus a bit, because I had this as a classroom teacher. I think that I'm in charge of what happens in my classroom. But hey, you made a very valid point that if I am doing this in my class and the economics teacher is not doing likewise and other people are not doing likewise, it's still not fair at the end of the day. So yes, that's a mind shift for me and for everyone else who is on this call. Thank you so very much. Here, I would like to ask Miss Daisy, what unique things can we learn from assessment systems in other countries?
Okay. Permit me again to lend a voice, please.
That's okay. That's fine.
All right. There is, in fact, from my own my own knowledge, there is no school that can say they don't have kids who need to be made accommodations for.
Yeah.
There must be those kids, and it will be, I don't want to use the word wicked, but it will be highly unprofessional of us not to make accommodations for those children. It will be. So ranging from some of them might need you to just print larger fonts of exam papers for them. Some might need you to give them extra time. Some might even need you to explain one or two keywords for them. They are all there in our schools. And now I know sometimes we worry because they're going to write the same exam, everybody's going to write the same thing. We know. That's where AFL comes in, and the intervention that Mr. Tope talked about, where they come in. Now, I was pleasantly surprised. Sometime, I think last year, when I was trying to register some of our kids for a National Common Entrance, I saw that they had accommodations for albinos. And I was very impressed. Yeah, I was very impressed. I was like, okay, Nigerians, we are beginning to wake up. We are not there, but our eyes, maybe one eye is beginning to open. Now, if you're registering for checkpoints too, you see that they have accommodations. There are kids who get extra time once you can submit all your data and relevant documents. They have kids that they give extra time, kids that even have scribes in the exam hall. So they make such accommodations. So even in the school, it's just for us to identify those kids, have our data, not based on how we feel. I feel this child needs this or no. Based on data, triangulate it appropriately, then submit submit it, and those kids will get type of accommodations they need. So I wanted to just add that there. Then you talked about assessment. I've lost part of the question you asked. Please, could you say something about it?
Yeah, I said, what unique things can we learn from assessment systems in other countries?
Okay. So I think the first thing we need to learn is not just one assessment. We wait until we write that test, that big test. The kids are sweat, everybody is anxious, parents are praying, teachers are under pressure. Then we bring out the grades. In other climes, they have short intermediate tests, things that make the kids get used to the exam scenarios. So don't just come and throw them into the exam scenario, no preparation. In fact, some schools, the way we plan for maybe fire drill in our schools, lockdown procedures, some schools actually practice exam procedures in their schools. Little exams, you time them, because some of us maybe in our classes, we give tests, we don't really keep to the time, the kids just write. Suddenly in the exam, you want to clamp down on them and say, time up, so such things. So before the big exam, let's give assessments, little assessments in between, pop quizzes and all that. Then let's not only measure, maybe work towards the grades. Let's also assess other forms of intelligences. Yeah. There are projects that the kids will have to build and defend them. There are portfolio presentations. The kids build up their portfolio right from maybe year 7, and they present it somewhere. Now, I think where the policymakers might need to come in is to allow all these other things to also form part of the final summative result. So when the kids write WAEC, it may not be only WAEC, they also have all this data that have been collected or reports over the years, also make part of the final grades of the kids. So for teachers or for schools, that's one thing we need to learn. Then I think talking to school leaders or school owners, there is no way every child in Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt can be in your school. It is not possible. So all the competing, all the hiding of information doesn't help anybody. Now, the bottom line is we are all working for the children. It's just for their good. So let's try to collaborate a little bit more. Let's try to share information a little bit more. It doesn't stop who you are. No school can copy everything about you verbatim. They will fail at it because it was not the original idea. But as much as we can, let's collaborate. Let's have school events. It's not only coming to compete, spelling bee competition, essay competition, dancing competition. Let's have just collaborative events where we come just to enjoy and learn without anybody winning or losing. We have the kids come to make presentations and schools learn from it, and everybody goes on. Nobody wins, nobody loses. It doesn't negate the competitions, but let's not make everything about competition, So let's try. I must commend some schools in Abuja here, Abuja School Association. They are doing fantastic at that. So they have the area where they compete and the areas where they collaborate. It is a breath of fresh air when you go to such events. So let school leaders and school owners also think about it. Because when the pressure comes, the teachers have to do what they have to do, They have to cover the scheme so the kids will not pass, maybe will not fail. Whether there is mastery or not, everybody just finds a way to just hit it together like a carpenter. Let the kids go. When the kids leave the exam hall, they forget everything. And one thing again with grades have a way of masking gaps in learning. Yeah. It's possible that I can go and do all those things we do and do like this, and God gives me grace and I pick the correct answer. Meanwhile, there is no mastery. So schools, leaders, school owners should do better. Teachers should also try and accommodate kids who need to be accommodated. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Daisy. Moving over to you, Mr. Tope. Somebody is saying that reflective learning is an awesome pedagogy, but I feel most Nigerian teachers don't know much about it. Can you please tell us a bit more about reflexive learning?
Okay. A lot of teachers, or not a lot, some teachers know about reflective learning. Because even me talking about this reflective learning while I was in the classroom, was it something I used? Because being in the teachers, I'm just happy that I've been in the I was in the classroom for a number of years. Everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
Everything happened so fast, and the pressure is just crazy. If you're giving me 150 students, say I'm preparing them for WAEC, and I know that they all must pass, I won't pay attention to reflective learning. I won't. I will just make sure I play to the strength of that child. There are some students that the only thing I do is I just use past questions for them and make sure they do like 15 to 20 years IGCSE pass. There's no way you can do that and fail. At least you are going to have a C. You understand? So I think a number of teachers know about it, but where is that time to do it, right? So it's just reflective learning is just about thinking about. This was a concept introduced by John Dewey. It's just thinking about your past experience or past thinking about your learning, what has happened in a classroom. You're reflecting, you're thinking about it. While you're studying, you are also still thinking about what happened in the classroom. And your teacher is able to help you relate it to your experience. Say a student that has experienced or that has seen someone, maybe that someone that is asthmatic, and the person was gasping for air, and you are a teacher in that class and you're teaching biology and you are relating it to this real life experience. When a child is thinking about it, the child is not thinking about what you're saying. The child is thinking about the experience, that experience that you created for them. And when you're creating that experience, they just also critically analyze it. I'm not going to a class. I've experienced a classroom in Nigeria and I've experienced a classroom in England. If I'm to teach, I taught biology for several years. If I move into a classroom in Nigeria to teach biology and I'm to teach them kidney, these are the things I'm going to talk about. The functions of kidney, the effect of the functions of kidney, and the diseases of kidney, and how to draw kidney. Those are the 4 things I'm going to teach them. Those are the 4 things I'm going to focus on, because when you check their past papers, those are the questions you are going to see. So those are the things I'm going to focus on. If I'm to teach that same thing in England, I'll enter the class and I'm going to put on the screen, you are a doctor in so-so hospital. 2 patients have just been rushed into your hospital. One has these symptoms, one has these symptoms. Being the doctor, how do you say maybe diagnose or what the problem is and how do you treat it? 2 different things, the same topic, the same concept. You understand? So one has painted an idea, an experience that the students have to critically analyze. That is critical analysis. Critical analysis is like the foundation of reflective learning. So the students are thinking about it. They are not saying, if I ask you, give me 2 functions of kidney. When you're thinking about it, you are trying to remember what you've taught. If I ask you, how are you going to train that patient? You are not thinking about what you've been taught. You are thinking about how you can apply what you've seen. So they are just 2 different things. So reflective learning is just about creating like a real life scenario, real life experience, so that your students can understand. And when they are studying, what they remember is the real life experience, and they can practice it, or they can just bring it to bed. Okay, this is what I want to do.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. To the person who asked, I hope that's a bit explanatory. Thank you so very much. Yes, we will be getting very close to the end now. Before I let both of you go, I will ask that you share your final words. What advice do you have for teachers on this call, school leaders, regarding assessment? And yes, just your final words. Yeah, we can start with you,
That
sir.
for me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Definitely. This is also going to be for school leaders. I'm big on school leadership. I'm so big on school leadership because I think everything is driven by systems. If I have a teacher in my school that can't fit into the system, the teacher will have to go. It's just that simple, right?
Yeah.
So I just feel a school is just driven by the school leaders. right? So we can tell teachers to encourage feedback over grades, and that is one of the things I really emphasized. So if you're a teacher and you're on this call, one of the things I'm going to encourage you to do is just encourage feedback over grades, especially when you're talking to parents on maybe open days and all. You should be able to show the parents the progress of their child in terms of like what the child has been able to do when it comes to moving from one level to the other. And we should also try as much as possible to focus on assessments for learning. So if you're a teacher and you're a school leader, just focus on assessment for learning, because if that is your focus, it will always affect the assessment of learning. It will definitely affect it. One will always affect the other. Because if I'm teaching a concept in class, if I have a class of 15 students and 12 students understand the concept, they can apply, they can answer questions, and 3 of them don't, then it is only when I assess what I've been taught that I can go deeper or have a personalized session with the 3 that are still struggling with it. So one of the things I'm going to say is, if you're a teacher, just make sure you encourage feedback over grades when you're talking to parents, and when for your classroom activities, for the learning and all, pay more attention to assessment. It is tough because you have to complete the scheme, you have to do so many things at the same time. It is very tough. So, but just try, because this is for the child. And if you're teaching an exam class, you know how vital this thing is. Assessment should be more about progress than performance. So if a school is trying to develop if they are trying to develop a structure or an AFL system, they are definitely going to put progress in. They are definitely going to put progress as the benchmark. We want to be able to measure the progress of each child. So the final word to school leaders is, just make sure you have a system. You make sure you have a structure that all teachers can use, not just the star teacher of the school, that all teachers can use to assess the students with diverse abilities, and also to assess the student while you're moving to the final outcome, which is the AOL. So that is just what I'm going to say. And for teachers, we always have to find our way around things, even though there's no much time to do some things, but we have to pay attention to the learners. It's very important. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Mr. Tope. I totally appreciate your answers. Before I go to Ms. Daisy on this, a question came for you, and I would like to accommodate as many questions as I can take. Now, this person says, my question is, to achieve an effective assessment of learning, how do you deal with disruptive behavior in your class?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, this can be in different contexts. Because listening to that question, if there's anything teachers struggle with in England, it's behavior. is behavior. And I was talking to a friend just some days ago. He teaches at University College London, and in a class they have 3 stages. When you're teaching in a class, when a student misbehaves in a class, you write 3 C's on the board when you're starting your lesson: chance, choice, consequence. So when a child misbehaves first, you put the child under chance. So when the child does something else again for that same lesson, you put the child under consequence. So when a child does something else, that's the 3rd misbehavior in a class, in one lesson, you put the child under consequence. Once the child gets to consequence, the child will have to leave the class immediately, and the child will serve detention or any kind of disciplinary action in that school, right? Yeah, so what I found out was some children will now be intentional about getting the consequence so they don't stay in class. When they are writing tests or when they are doing any form of assessment, they will disturb your lesson or they will disturb the class such that the movement from chance, choice to consequence is like 2 minutes. So once you give them that consequence, they have to move to the detention because they don't want to write the test. So in that school, this is my submission. This is what I think. We have misbehavior or misbehavior rules in a school where there is no consequence or where there are no consequences. If a child is going to serve detention and the child is just going to be lounging in detention, then that is not consequence, right?
Yeah.
So if to manage misbehavior, there must be consequences for any child that is misbehaving in class. We also understand the challenges that come with that. Hardly will you hear in a school in UK that they are expelling students, because the process of expulsion, the process of expelling a student is crazy. If I'm the head of the school, I won't even go through it at all. We'll just be managing the students till they graduate. And that can even affect their Ofsted grading. Yes, so the only thing they do is they just manage it. So which is fair on their side. But one way that I think misbehavior can be managed is also a function of school leadership. That is, there must be consequences for misbehavior. And I've worked in a school. There's a school I worked with in Lagos. The school is always, they produce good academic performance. You can't be in that school and be misbehaving. We always have students from abroad. They will send them to that school. And in that school, there is no beating. They don't use cane in that school. You understand? So what are the things they do? If you misbehave, they have expulsion is in their card. Expulsion is in their card. The kind of punishment of, I know some schools don't do that thing again. I don't know if that school still does it. The washing toilets, spending 4 hours with a teacher studying. There's so many things they have to do. And it's a private school. It's a private school. So the point is, what the school is doing, I'm not saying schools should copy that, but what the school is trying to communicate is, whatever you do, there are consequences. Yeah. So if there are no consequences, then misbehavior will thrive. See, schools that install CCTV and they are still complaining that their students are misbehaving. It is CCTV will not curb misbehavior. It is what you do when the CCTV catches a misbehavior that will curb the misbehavior. So consequence, there must be clear consequence of the action of students if we really want to curb misbehavior.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so very much for that. Consequences. Yes. All right. So we move to you now, Mrs. Daisy. Please give us some final words of advice. Mr. Tope has been heavy on school leadership systems and all. Maybe you can come to that.
Yes. Okay. Starting from where he stopped, let's just flip it a bit now. Now, this to the teachers right now. Now, when you say a child is being disruptive, it's actually very subjective. What do you really mean? Because some teachers, maybe let me say in primary schools or junior secondary schools, they want the kids to be very quiet. A quiet class does not depict a learning class.
True.
Yeah.
That the class that is quiet, you have that occasional, yes, Miss Daisy, do you all understand? Yes, ma'am. That doesn't mean the kids are learning. You can have a class that is boisterous, alive, and the kids are learning. Someone may cross and say, what a noisy class, they are being disruptive. No, they are actually learning if the noise is controlled and structured. So some teachers are very quick to say kids are being disruptive. Now, kids can be disruptive when they are not engaged. They are kids. They must be engaged. Now, you have a child who is, let me say the way we say it here, a high flyer or an above level learner. I don't give him work to maybe differentiated task. He finishes in 2 minutes and you tell him, be quiet, keep quiet. He cannot be quiet. You need to engage him, differentiate his lesson. You have a child who's always asking you questions. Excuse me, ma'am, when you're teaching, you say he's being disruptive. So teachers should go back and redefine what they are calling being disruptive.
Yeah.
They should redefine that. Is very important. Then my final word for our teachers and for our schools, not every assessment have to be graded. I'm actually pleading. Not every assessment has to have 1/5, 5/10. It mustn't be graded. You can do what we call target marking, where you mark and give the child, okay, this is what you did well, this is what you can do, this is how to do it. You mustn't always have 0/10. Okay, come and do correction. No, you mustn't treat every assessment as a final score. If you lose the chance to tell the child how to improve, you lose that child. You actually lose the child. So let's prioritize having assessment for learning. Let's use it before we get to the summative, which is assessment of learning. So teachers, you teach, you give assessment, they mustn't all be scored. Sometimes you use peer assessment, sometimes you use pop quizzes just to check, you use exit tickets, for the kids to even think about what they just learned. So you can use all those things. You mustn't mark and grade and score all the time. And for parents, grades don't flip overnight. Maybe in Lagos they do. I don't know. But here, grades don't flip overnight. But parents don't know that unless we communicate. And when a parent comes to the school to ask, how is my child doing? Teachers are fond of saying, she's improving. When you say that, the parents hear, my child is an A star. That's what they're hearing. So when they now come and have a C, parents will not come for you. But you said the child was improving. You said, yes, ma'am. This is the C. Because that time you said improvement, they had A star. So parents should also be communicated to clearly. We are improving. We have improved on this one. We are still working on this one. This is what we are doing as a school. This is what you should do at home for those who maybe who run a day school. It might be easier for those who are in the boarding school because teachers are with them 24/7. But for those who run day schools, parents have a part to play, a big part to play because the kids will go back to them. So the school must communicate to the parents what they have to do. We are doing this in school. Parents, you do this at home. So if we all work together and collaborate, I'm sure we'll get to that final destination that we all want to get to. So this is my final word. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, our amazing panelists. It's been a very, very wonderful 1 hour with you. And to all our listeners out there, thank you so much for being here. Yes. So before we quickly round up, I'd like to hand over to our team lead, Bossman. Yeah.
Okay, Eunice, I don't know what you expect me to say after the thoughts shared by Tope and Daisy on this call. As a matter of fact, someone just sent me a message. Great session, Bossman. Someone just sent me a message. A school owner, and so the unique thing about this person is he has a background in engineering, works in the oil and gas sector, runs a nursery, primary, and secondary school system in the Southwest, top quality and all of that. So if that person sends a message to say, great session, it means our facilitators and panelists for this month has done a fantastic job, like we've had in other months. So thank you so much, Daisy, for a great job. I admire your school so much. Even from the days of Mrs. Ndoma, great system you guys are running. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you. And to my brother, Tope is an academic. Don't mind him when this exceptional leadership thing is saying and all of that. I'm sure somebody will not snatch him soon and put him in a further education college in the UK or UCL or one school like that. Fantastic mind. Tope speaks the things that he has practiced. Yeah. You understand? He spent so much time in the classroom. I know of this very well. And he spent so much time. So the things he's sharing from practical experience, not from someone who just sits on in front of the system to share thoughts. Is been groomed in the finance of top systems in Lagos. So I can relate with his passion to lay a lot of things on school leaders. Is knocking school leaders on the head. And it is fine. We need those wake-up calls because I just feel for Nigerian teachers most times. You understand? There is a lot that goes on in the classroom, that 45, that 50 minutes, there's a lot you want to cram in. You have appraisals, you have students, you have disruptive behaviors and all of that. You have to cram a lot of things into those times. And I look at them, if you don't have a supporting leadership that understand what is going on and how their own work also affects your work in the classroom, you will burn out and crash. And you don't have leadership who understand how to build systems to achieve what needs to be achieved. It's a challenge. A couple of years ago, we were in a school in the Southeast, and the school owner was complaining that, so this child was in the school and it was progressing. When it was in GS3, the junior brother also stepping into the school, and they were both progressing. The first one graduated and graduated well and all of. The second one, when he got to SS2, the school now called the father to say, we are not sure that this child will pass WAEC. He's been in the school year 1, year 2, year 3, 4, 5th year. 5th year. Paid school fees, stayed with you in the boarding, all the school trip, everything you talked about, they did. 5th year, you're not saying, we are not sure that this child, what kind of system is that? What kind of system are you running? You understand? Any system that cannot predict or say, okay, this is what this child is doing now. By the time we get to next year, this also period, we expect him to be at this level, then there is a challenge. Yeah. It's a red signal, and we need to flag it. So that's why I agree with the fact that we need to build systems that guarantees those results. Nothing happens by just throwing our whips and caprices around to want to achieve results. It is not magic. It is not magic. When you look at what happens in other climes and what they are doing, it is not magic. I always say I have 2 sons, and Tope knows my first son very well, if he's not familiar with the second one. My first one is an academic, mathematics, physics, earths, and all of that. My second son is different. And they've studied across 2 or 3 regions. They've studied in Nigeria, they've done a few years in Wales, and they've done a few years in England. And you come to appreciate the 2 of them for their strength, because those 2 systems outside of where we're coming from, even in Nigeria, the schools they were going were very good, and they measured that none of those systems have actually played the first one ahead of the second one, so to speak. Outside of grades, which are very important, you continually see the second one, what is becoming, what is turning to, and the strengths he exhibits beyond academics or grades, you understand? Focusing on the fact that outside of what he could achieve at his level in English, maths, and all of that, these are other things he carries, and the strength is what we call it. So we appreciate the 2 of them. They are opposites when it comes to grades and academics, you understand? But we appreciate the strength that the 2 of them have. We can't shortchange children because they can't achieve at the level some of their mates can achieve. It's not good. It is not appealing to anyone. No society progresses by saying that because you can't achieve up to this grade. Obviously, yes, and I think it was in Wales, they have a class for scholars in their A levels. They are for scholars, they are for I've forgotten 3 different class levels and all of that, so that those who are headed to Oxford and Cambridge, top level A star students, will know what to do for them. Those who are on the second level will know what to do for them. Those who are on the third level will know what to do and support them and all of that. No system should treat children otherwise based on the fact that they don't have this kind of cognitive capacity that some other people have. Very, very important. And that's one essence that I want us to take out of this session. It is very important. Our system should be holistic. Grades are very important, just like our facilitators and panelists said, very important. That's how we know what to do. However, it does not remove from the future of the child if they can't achieve the A's and the A stars and all of that. Very, very, very important. So I believe that systems are very important. I believe that assessments is also ongoing. You understand? You can't say, we have gone to the assessment. No, let's see the progress. Let's see how the child is doing. And let's be holistic about how we look at them and the capacity that we have. For those of us who have, I think for Ireland, and I'm sure Eunice will talk about Ireland, there's a story I always share when we host Ireland, our International Learning and Assessment Retreating Conference every year. And it's the story about the animal school, very popular animal, and it talks about the flaws in the standardized educational system. And when I was in their institution, I took a course called multidisciplinary case study. Multidisciplinary case study. As a matter of fact, I taught my mates in class when we were sitting for the exam 2 days before. I had some of my mates come to my house. I taught them in those classes to prepare them for the exam. By the time we finished the exam, I was just like the normal average student, 50 something and all of that. But it was a course that looks more like a consulting class than an academic class. But we were measured or assessed based on academic understanding, not what you can do with those knowledge, especially at the higher institution. The challenge is if we measure just what students know, and we don't also think about what they can do with the things that they know, there's a challenge. The students tend to focus on what they can cram and pour down for us, get those grades and move on. I remember always asking school owners at our programs that if a child leaves your school with that WAEC certificate alone, and he has to tear it into pieces and say, I can survive life without those WAEC certificates, what will it be? You understand? I think it was, I remember universities in the US now, or probably in, is it African Leadership Academy or whatever, or African Leadership University, that talks about the fact that while we focused on your majors, we'll first focus on your mission before your major. So graduating from us is, we are focusing on two things: your mission, your purpose, your capacity, your strength, what you bring on board, then what you major, your course, your academics and your grades and all of that. The world has changed beyond what we used to know. And those children can just leave our schools with just grades, and the fact that they've hinged their whole existence, self-esteem on the B's or the A's that they get. You understand? But we need to also help them unlock the options that are available to them when it comes to their own personal strengths, capacities, and what have you. And those are some of the thoughts I would want to share. I don't have time. I would have read the animal story, but just Google the animal school story. It's a fable about animal schools that's against standardized education, and how we can develop capacity to run systems that also focuses on the uniqueness of the children that we work with. And now we can also help them with the world in a different direction. Thank you very much again, Daisy, for making our time to do this with us this month. We'll appreciate you. Thank you for all the great things you are doing. We see you. I will see the good things you are doing. Thank you, Tope, for your time. We appreciate it's a very, very busy time and period for you, but thank you for at least showing up for us online to share this. Thanks for the good work you are doing. Continue to share your thoughts. Those what you are putting out there, fantastic one. All of us will do different things in different directions to make this ecosystem work the way it should work. And what you do and the work you bring on board matters, and also help shape things the way it should go. Thank you, everyone. And for everyone that joined us across platforms, YouTube specifically, thank you very much for joining. We appreciate you. Eunice, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Tope Adenuga. We appreciate you. Thank you, Mrs. Daisy. We appreciate you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for knowledge shared. Thank you for insights you brought to the program. We totally appreciate you. And to all our viewers out there, we appreciate you too. The session will be on YouTube for future references. If you have a need to rewatch it, please go to Thesis Education YouTube channel and the session will be there live. And I'll quickly use this moment to invite everyone to our Island Conference, like Bosman has mentioned. It's our annual conference at Thesis Education Group where we discuss assessment, rethinking assessment. So if you found this session worthwhile, it will be beneficial for you to join us as we discuss and rethink assessments at Island. It will be happening on the 6th and 8th of November, and you can follow us on social media for more details about it. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Chiriti. The details are on the screen, and yes, the summit is happening on the 8th and 6th of November. 6th of November is online, while on the 8th of November is happening at the Zoom Bagada Lagos. Yeah, inquiries are available. You can reach out to the phone numbers or follow us on social media and you'll have all the details about that. Until we meet again next month in our Learning Lab series, continue to make impact. Thank you very much from me and bye to everyone.
Thank you. Well done, Eunice.